Largest climate change summit yet. 70,000 delegates, world leaders to attend. 200 countries to take part. All eyes for the next 13 days will be on this year's United Nations Climate Change Summit, also known as COP28, which kick-started in Dubai on November 30th. While there are a lot of hopes pinned on the summit, given the fossil fuel-driven climate change crisis facing planet Earth, the irony of it being held in the United Arab Emirates, a country which is the largest liquid fuel producer, and it being led by Sultan Al Jaber, the head of Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, one of the world's largest oil producers, isn't lost on many. And the greatest irony of them all, leaked briefing documents from the summit revealed how the COP28 President Sultan Al Jaber planned to use his role in order to strike oil and gas deals with 15 countries. This, during a summit which is being held to discuss reining in fossil fuels, including coal, oil, and gas, among other things. With China, the documents, obtained by the Center for Climate Reporting, showed Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, or ADNOC, said it is willing to jointly evaluate international LNG, that's liquefied natural gas, opportunities in Mozambique, Canada, and Australia. Documents also outline plans to tell Colombia that ADNOC stands ready to help develop its oil and gas reserves. ADNOC has plans to increase its production of crude oil from 4 million barrels a day up to 5 million, boosting its production of carbon-emitting crude oil and natural gas. However, the COP28 president-designate was quick to dismiss the revelations made in the report.
These allegations are false, not true, incorrect, and not accurate. And it's an attempt to undermine the work of the COP28 presidency. I promise you, never ever did I see these talking points that they refer to, or that I ever even used such talking points in my discussion.
Al Jaber wears many hats. Apart from being the president of this year's UN Climate Summit and the CEO of ADNOC, he is also the chairman of a UAE state-owned renewable energy company called Masdar, as well as a UAE cabinet minister. Meanwhile, responding to the Center for Climate Reporting's allegations, the COP28 team did not deny using bilateral meetings about the summit for business talks, and a summit spokesperson said that Dr. Sultan Al Jaber holds a number of positions alongside his role as COP28 president-designate. That is public knowledge. Private meetings are private, and we do not comment on them. Ben Stockton, investigative reporter at the Center for Climate Reporting, told Democracy Now! In an interview that the exposé is based on 150 pages of internal COP28 documents, including briefings prepared for Al Jaber ahead of bilateral meetings with foreign governments, and many of them include talking points that have been obtained from ADNOC and Masdar, the two companies that Al Jaber is involved in running. In the lead-up to the summit, in the month of May, Al Jaber faced criticism for referring to the need to phase out fossil fuel emissions, using techniques such as carbon capture, instead of phasing out fossil fuels themselves. While the UAE is not the first major oil and gas producer to host the UN climate talks, it is, however, the first host to task an oil and gas executive with changing the world's climate course. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil and gas are by far the largest contributor to global climate change, accounting for over 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions and nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions. As greenhouse gas emissions blanket the Earth, they trap the sun's heat, raising the temperature, and 2023 is on track to be the hottest year on record. This year's COP summit is expected to see issues such as curbing in fossil fuels and carbon emissions to be topping the agenda of the summit that will end on December 12. International funding to help countries adapt to climate change will also be hotly debated, as developing countries have been demanding more contributions from the industrialist nations. An ambitious loss and damages fund agreed last year to support poorer nations to help manage the negative effects of climate change has yet to be put into place. World leaders agreed to the fund after COP27 last year, but they have failed to reach consensus on the most important questions of all, which states will pay into it and how much. Countries will also face the first review of their progress towards the Paris Agreement, a landmark international treaty on limiting carbon emissions that was signed at the COP21, almost 8 years ago. Although the UAE was the first Middle Eastern country to ratify the agreement, people are deeply divided over hosting the summit in a nation that has been termed as part of the problem for its reliance on fossil fuels.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.